podcast. I'm your co-host JD,
Tex.
and we have our co-host Texas. All right. So today, before we get started, quick BOP beer of podcast. I got this nice Bush Light Apple. I really enjoy Bush Light Apple. This has been one of my go-to beers right now. I really like the Bush Peach. I'm also going to hit record on this end, so I also have just audio. Just thought of that. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. So we had two that were lost because the audio files got corrupted.
Mm-hmm. And this is currently live on our Twitch and our Bunker Buddies YouTube page. So you guys get a little sneak peek of that. I'll probably let it be live for probably, we'll say, probably a day. And then I'll private it. Save that recording. We'll put it over on our Patreon. But today we're doing a nice, short, quick episode. I guess what ifs. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing with this series. And this what if is if it suddenly became 2007 again right now. How would you, Texas, convince people you are a time traveler?
That's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah. Remember, most things you would do either could be explained, or if you did have like an almanac with you, say for like sports, and you were like, oh, the Dodgers win 8-10 or whatever score, like the butterfly effect comes into play, right? So all team loses the ladder. So that doesn't work. You end up being like, oh, well, in 2020, there's going to be a huge pandemic. And you have to wait. This is kind of like more of that time traveler's paradox. So what would you do to convince people you are a time traveler? Or what would you do in general of just like, how would you react if you, for whatever reason, just got sucked into a black hole and you go to the local market, you're like, yo, what day is it? And they're like, Tuesday. And you're like, no. Like, what's the date? And they're like, it's whatever, June 24th, 2020 or 2007.
So if I get sucked back in time,
Yeah.
what do I get sucked back in time with? Just
whatever you have on you.
Right now, currently? So it'd be like my flashlight, my pistol, my cell phone, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, remember, 2007, your phones were probably not going to work.
3G, right?
3G. I don't know if these modern phones have them, but yeah.
I wonder if it's backwards compatible on some of these phones.
Maybe.
Because 2007, 8, you said? 2007?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2007.
Some of these apps wouldn't work.
Okay. 2007, you have the iPhone 4, 4S, kind of that generation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Apple has backwards compatibility. Androids were kind of, I don't even know what, there were a lot of phones. It was like the Razor and a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so I would have an Android phone. I have both an Android and an Apple phone. So I would go back in time with both of those. And I guess one of those would have to work at some point. And if whichever one worked, I'd keep that one and just shelve the other. And what I would do to explain to somebody that I'm a time traveler, I would have to convince somebody. So if I convince someone, would I go back to where I am now?
Yeah, let's say you can convince somebody that you're a time traveler. That's how you get back. That is how you redeem yourself. I don't know. In this weird what if scenario, the only way to come back is to convince somebody and truly convince somebody.
Oh, if I was going to try to do this, the fastest, short game and long game. Shortest game would be, I would do something pretty crazy. I would go down, and this is the worst decision you could make, is talk to the government. But that's what I would do. I would go talk to the United States government, and by that I would talk to my local government. I would say, look, guys, I'm going to look like a fucking loony, but I have some technology in my pockets that will not be available and will not work until this year, around 2022-ish, after we have this pandemic, and no one's going to believe me. I sound like an insane person. But if you show them the phone and the guys in Apple are able to look at it and say, what the fuck is this? We don't have this technology. Right then and there, they know something's not right. They could probably take it from you and tuck it away and be like, oh, it's our property, whatever, it's our IP. You can't touch it. Doesn't prove you're a time traveler. And that'll be the end of that. That'd be the worst case scenario. Best case, they bring you in and start asking you a shitload of questions. How did you get here? What did you do? What's the future like? All of that normal stuff we would ask somebody that says they're a time traveler today.
Oh man, how fun would that be? We get to do the fun bit from like Back to the Future where they're like, "Who's the president? Ronald Reagan?" And they're like, "Well," and you go, "The actor."
Back to the Future.
Yeah, well, who's the president? Hold on, sit down. You know Donald Trump. They're like, the real estate agent. Yeah. The guy from The Apprentice. And he goes, "You're shitting me." Like, no.
2007. The guy that was in Home Alone? Yeah, both. Yeah, Home Alone 2? That guy. He's the president. No one's going to believe this.
No.
I don't know if The Simpsons had even came out with an episode like that yet. I mean, that would be like.
I don't think it was until like 2015.
That'd be like one of the places everyone points to is all The Simpsons predicting the future or whatever. So there'd be that. If I was to play the long game, I would just enrich the fuck out of myself. I wouldn't convince the world that I'm a time traveler. I would just convince myself that I'm the time traveler.
All right. I know we've talked about this before, but what if, by you going back in time, you take over your former self? There is no other you. You are you.
If I am me, I still have the same.
Everything's still the same, but you now take your spot of your past self.
Oh, you guys are fucked.
You don't have to talk to anybody. You're just gonna go out there and just.
If I don't talk to myself and I go back in time to 2008 and just basically stand in my own shoes, I'm basically me with fucking 20 years experience. My guy, y'all are fucked. I'm going immediately. I'm short. I'm doing The Big Short, that movie.
Oh yeah.
I'm fucking buying all of this. Fucking 8. I'm gonna put all the money I have in this, saying 2008. In less than a year, the stocks are going to crash. And right then and there, I'm already a millionaire. Bam. Michael Berry style. Now, not only am I going to do that, I'm going to take all of that money. I'm going to buy a shitload of Bitcoin, which was cheaper back then. I'm going to buy a shitload of gold and silver, physical gold and silver, stack up all of that. In 2008, gold and silver was, you know what? I can give you an idea. Gold was around $850 an ounce. Right around there. In 2008, also Dow Jones and everything dropped. That would be my buying spree. Not only would I capitalize on everything dropping, I would then use all of that money to buy up everything for pennies on the dollar. And it wouldn't be real estate. Not right away. I would wait until the end of 2008 for all the prices to normalize. Then I would start picking up commercial properties like a motherfucker. Then I'd have to have a really badass CPA and a really badass lawyer. I'd have to pay the best because it's going to be a lot of money, right? Get that square. I don't have to convince anybody. Immediately once I go into the press, because Michael Berry, same thing happened to him. Hey, how did you know this? How did you come about this? They made a movie about him, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't be in a movie, but how did you know this? I'd be like, look, man, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. And I'd be really cryptic about it for like 2 or 3 years. Once I got myself set up permanently, I had tons of Bitcoin for cheap, tons of gold and silver physical for cheap, and everything between me and the other half, she's set up and ready to go. Once I'm done with that, then I'll reveal, I'm a time traveler.
In my head, it is a Iron Man 1 type of interview style. You got the press all there, and you're like, I am glasses. I am Iron Man. But I am time traveler.
Yeah, just take off my Triple B stamped hat. This won't come out for a few years, guys, but I'm a time traveler.
Go check out my YouTube channel.
Check out my YouTube channel. That's just getting started. So every choice I've made up until 2008, if I go back financially and look at where I was, what I was saving for, what I was able to accomplish, where I was living, what I was doing, the state of where I was with my family, all of that shit, I would have all of that previous knowledge to fix that too. So the question is, what happens after I do that and I get kicked back into the future?
Yeah, what do you think changes?
When you get kicked back into the future, all the changes that happened between the time that you were revealed and they believed you and they brought you back, do you remember the things that changed from then till now? You just come back and all of a sudden you have all new memories? Like, it's just it's all just there? Or do you still remember things like the way they were and you're all like fucking...
It's your own Mandela effect.
Yeah, it's like you're like in a different timeline, like the Mandela.
Because with you doing all this, would you meet the same people? Or would you end up following in a different crowd? Because I mean, like, yeah, you could say you still kept your YouTube channel, but would you still connect to the Faded family? Would we have ever met? Would you get so big that you start talking to like Alex Jones and...
Oh man, I wouldn't just talk to Alex Jones. I would 100%. I would 100% overshadow where he's at, because I'd have all that information.
Would you hop on?
I'd be able to leak a lot of truth without getting fucked up the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't gatekeep the way he does. I wouldn't do a lot of shit that he's doing. Not just him, but other people.
Yeah.
I would point out all CIA assets. Be like, that's false information. That's bullshit. There's no point in going down that rabbit hole because it doesn't go anywhere. And the people that did it will never be charged. No point in wasting time and money on that.
Yep.
I'd focus on things that were upcoming, not what happened. And it would not only make it better for me, but for everyone around me. And knowing you the way I know you now and the way I know everybody else and over the years, to see where y'all are now, when I have nothing, no money, I'm not a badass, I'm not a millionaire, and y'all treat me pretty good, why would you treat me different if I was a millionaire?
True.
So I would still keep roots with those people. I will still do what I've done. I will still try to take the same steps that I took, better, of course, in that direction. So there would be some changes. There'd be people I would cut out for sure, knowing how things turned out.
Yeah.
I would know it wouldn't be worth it. But I couldn't do that for anybody else because I can't save anybody else. It'd only be me. And since I'm not here to convince myself, I'm in my own shoes, I'm going to either look like a genius or an insane person. Which is, I don't know how to answer that because the speculation is just that. I'm just flying off the cuff.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Let us know in the comments. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think if you were dropped in 2007, you can convince someone that you're a time traveler? Or do you think that you would just be fine being in your own shoes and kind of setting yourself up for success in the future?
So let's say you never convince them. You just have to live your life out.
Yeah. Let's say that you don't get returned. You are stuck in 2007 or what?
So I'm essentially where I'm at right now, but I'm from between 2007 and now, which is what, like 20 years-ish, 19 years.
Damn.
So I'm 19 years older, I guess mentally and physically, because I'm going back in time. I'm 19 years older at that age than what I am now. So my lifespan is significantly shorter.
What if you went back, you still had that 19 years of knowledge, but you now have your younger body. Like if you were in better shape, obviously, than till now. Oh,
it'd be a different game altogether. I would be not vain, but there would be some changes for sure, because the amount of financial power that I'd be able to create that quickly,
mm-hmm.
I would turn a lot of heads in a bad way. So I would need to make some positive changes for myself, and I would definitely have to surround myself with good people. So that brings a whole nother security issue. That brings up a whole like Nikola Tesla. Oh, I fell down the stairs. No one knows, mysterious death type of shit. You know what I mean? I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't take no flights to no fucking islands.
So where were you in 07, 08? You would be senior year?
In 07, no. I was already out of school by then. Why are you smiling, JD?
That was 8th grade.
Bro, you were fucking still in the womb in 07, 08. You're still swimming around. You don't know anything.
I was getting ready to go to high school.
I was already out of that bitch. I was already making money by then. In 08? Man, in 08, I already had an electrical apprenticeship, and I was welding and doing a bunch of shit. I was just getting from that, just preparing to go into the oil field to do something completely different. I was on a different course. So, yeah, I definitely would be able to fix my home life a lot better, knowing what I know now. So let's flip this question on its head. That doesn't exactly answer what you asked me. What would I do to convince somebody?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can convince anybody.
I don't think you could either. I think the fact that like we take into effect like the butterfly effect, the fact that it just you being there could change stuff for better or worse. It will change stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think convincing someone is as important or relevant to that actual situation.
I mean, bookies would love me because they would ask who is going to win this. I'd be like, yo, just so I'm cool with everybody on the other side of the fence. And then I'm probably gonna get
the
more.
Cubs win the World Series in
probably,
2016.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna
Keep
get
that in your back pocket.
I'm probably gonna get better. Probably gonna get better protection from you guys than these dickheads that are supposed to be wearing badges. But check this out. These are the 3 key games you need to keep an eye on. And I would just be laying some of those out, making a lot of friends. Hey, but you want a cut of this? You want money? I don't want a dime. What I want is some favors and firm handshake. If I ever have to call in a favor, I've got one.
Yeah.
Which is how I live most of my life anyway. Is, hey, we'll pay you or no, I don't need any of that. I don't want your money. I'm looking for favors. Down the road, if I ever find myself in a bad situation, I know I can call you and get myself out of that situation. Mm-hmm. Or be better off, right?
Yeah. You know what's funny? Is that through up until very recently, I had a same phone number. Since 2001 until 2025, I had the exact same phone number. And I know you know it, so I was all like you would have my phone number and a way to reach me.
You're going to be like, who the fuck is this? Look, man, I know you're barely getting out of high school. Things are going to be rough. I already know most of your story. Don't worry. And then once I lay some of that out, now you believe I'm a time traveler and I'm gone. Fuck. So now all the other shit I had planned, it's over with. Way to fucking go, JD. You ruined it for me. No. So if I had to convince myself, like let's say I showed up, but I was still a separate person or entity from the old me, and I had to explain to him, hey, I'm a time traveler. I'm you, but you from the future. First question is, how? Bullshit, I don't believe you. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to shoot you because you don't belong in my apartment. The answer would be, yes, I do, because I'm you. I know how much money you have in your bank account. I know where you work. I know how long you've been there. I know who works with you. I know all their names. I know what's happened. I know what happened to the club this one night. And we can talk about childhood stuff, the stuff that you promised yourself that you'd never talk about. And I can go into my deep, dark secrets about myself, and there ain't no way anyone else will know that except me. I would just drop 2 female names and be like, all right, motherfucker, what are we doing?
Dang. I just could not imagine like an older version of myself appearing. Because how messed up.
You're like, I turn into this?
Right?
That's what I would say. Like, what the fuck is this?
Now, what if everything that you tell your younger self, you're like, hey, you need to do this, do that. And as your past self is mentally kind of like processing this, you physically start to change. Like you're like, hey, you need to start hitting the gym, and then slowly you just shrink, 6-pack, big arms. You're like, yes, keep going.
After all the advice,
it's kind of like it's similar to Back to the Future where your hand starts disappearing, but instead of disappearing, you start getting bulky. You're like, yes.
That's how it was before my back injury. Exactly.
You're like, oh man, hit up Eddie Hall.
Yeah, look how much stronger I would be. Oh, and by the way, this day, when you're going down this road, make sure at this red light you get off of the highway. Let that truck hit the other car. That way you don't fucking fuck your spine up for the rest of your life, the rest of our lives. Just get off the road, or don't take that way home. But then again, butterfly effect. What happens?
Yeah.
So, how much are you really going to change?
What could you change?
And here's the other question.
Because I know one of my first thoughts of if I went back in time, what would I change? And it's always, and I think a lot of people would have this, is I'd be like, I know when certain family members are going to pass. What could you do to prevent that? And like that's what my mind would go to, is how would that change everything?
Not only that, but if you interfere, what happens to you? Does it become like a Final Destination type of situation where
death for a death?
That's like, yo, bro, you're in my fucking way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like figuratively speaking. Or maybe literally, maybe it's Chuck Norris, and he's like, "Look, get the fuck out of my way." Who knows?
Honestly,
So
a great pitch for a movie.
So here's the question for you. Let's flip this on its head. You go back to 2007. You're still like in like kindergarten. You're still in a high chair. How do you convince yourself?
Cool.
How do you convince? You're still in a booster seat. How do you convince yourself that you're a time traveler when you can't even process fucking words half the time now? Like you're stuck there, and so you can convince yourself or someone else. You go back and talk to your parents, because the minute you tell your parents, they're gonna believe you.
I don't know if I could go back in time to talk about parents. I think the quickest way for me to mess up this whole timeline and to really just like distrack what we have going now would me going back in time and talking to my parents.
That would fuck everything, right?
It would. I think it would destroy everything so quick. I don't know how everything would change, but I know deep down, if I was able to go back in time and talk to my mom, I think everything would be different. Everything moving from that point forward would be different. Where I talk to her, everything. I don't know if it would save her, kill me. I don't know what would that kind of Final Fantasy kind of aspect to it. But I feel like that would mess everything up. I would have to talk to myself. If I could talk to myself, I think that would be the loophole, and that's how I would do it. Is I'd be like, hey, these are some important dates. Keep this in mind. I need you to do this for me. And it'd be like a list of be like, hey, change this attitude. You got to start doing this. Stop talking to these people. Stop chasing this girl. Stop doing it. Like it'd be like, hey,
stop wasting your time.
Stop wasting your time, because I think 07 forward, I would say from 07 to about 2015, I feel like there was a lot of wasted. I mean, granted, I was in like high school. But I feel like there's a lot of wasted time in this period.
Oh, for sure. Most people, when you're that young, you don't have a concept of the consequences of what you're doing.
But I mean, there are stuff that I could have easily changed and opportunities that I had that I feel like I didn't vocalize and push for more. Or ideas of I didn't want to go to a magnet school. I think I would push harder for not going to a magnet school because they didn't help me in the long run. And they're like, this is what's going to fast track. Magnet schools don't. They act like they do. Magnet schools, STEM schools, they act like they do. They don't. It just puts more stress on students. It's not worth it. You would get higher grades at a normal school because you're at a easier pace than your 4x4 schedule, and it was done.
You think so?
At least comparing my grades to.
I know a few people that went from a traditional school to a magnet school, and they improved because they needed that structure in their life. Mm. Some people, again, it's not a one size fits all for everybody. I get it.
Yeah, at least for me, it wasn't. I think I needed something different. I mean, there was opportunities to do trade schools out of high school. I feel like I should have done that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I mean, there's a lot of like apprentice opportunities that I had that I was like, I don't want to do an apprenticeship for 2 years. And I was like, I could just do this and start my career now. And I feel like I should have just buckled down and just did the 2-year apprenticeship.
Just waited.
I just waited and cool. I was making less money, but I was also not paying as much in rent.
Not only that, but you're paying less in taxes, and you're developing. You're taking the necessary steps in your career for a long term of scalability and pay. Because if you do, let's say you become a sparky or a welder or anything else, that takes time to do your apprenticeship. Let's say you're an apprentice, as you're going to be an electrician, right? You're a sparky for apprentice for 2 years, 3 years, depending on how smart you are. 2-3 years in, 4 years, whatever it is, pass your test. Now you're a journeyman. 12, 14 years later, you now can take your test for, depending on the job flow you've had, the amount of jobs you've done, the work you can show, you know what I mean, the jobs performed. And there's a lot you have to prove.
From, let's even say when I graduated.
But you're making great money while you're doing it.
Yeah, but when I graduated from then till now, that would have been almost 15 years right there. So I was all like, we have that gap of just being like, you know how much money I could be making if I did the apprenticeship that I was interviewed for, or
yeah. But slow and steady wins the race.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody's built for trades either. There are people that try to become plumbers or, electricians or whatever, carpenters, whatever. Name the thing, and they just can't do it. It's not for them, and that's fine too. I mean, where you are now, maybe this is where things have ultimately led you to be for a reason.
Yeah.
You don't know that. I don't know that. No one knows that.
But that's the stuff that like I definitely would talk to my like younger self and be like, listen, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, dog. I think the biggest one is if I went back to '07, I think the biggest habit I've been calling it a habit that would start around then would be I used food to cover emotion. I was a very emotional eater. And I'd be like, cut that shit out. And that was also just how I was, partly of how I was raised. It was, you can't leave the table without eating your food. You'll sit there until it's done. If you don't eat it, you'll eat it tomorrow. Kind of stuff. But it was also like, oh, you're crying? Well, let's not talk about that. You want to go get ice cream? You want to go get a burger? I'm like, yo, let's cut that now. Stop it. Like I think those are some of the changes I definitely would be like, yo, let's stop doing that.
I don't know how to regulate that without taking notes of writing down literally everything I know first and my experiences first and what I learned from those first. Because once you start poking at yourself to change, like you were talking about earlier, you start getting bigger or smaller or more cut or more lean or more whatever. You start to forget those lessons that you initially told yourself. Don't do that because this girl's going to do this to you. You don't know what it took to get to that point. You just know that that's what's going to happen.
But
so
that's
you don't really learn anything.
Yeah, and that's also why I want to be more generalized with it. And that's why I was like, hey, you eat because you get emotional.
Yeah.
Feel it, bury it, do something else. This food, this shit, this isn't the answer. You're not hungry, you're bored. You're not hungry, you're emotional. Stop. Food is not.
Yeah.
But also I also think that's a lot of the Southern stuff that my grandma brought over because she'd be like, oh, you're sad? Shit, I know what's gonna fix you. Let's get the spool ready.
You know what's gonna fix you? Biscuits and gravy. Here, baby, let me set it for you. Nothing better than grandma's biscuits and gravy. But that makes sense, but it's also not really healthy. So it's in the same direction when you're with your dad who's like fucking disgruntled about his friend that got killed when he was 20 years old or some other terrible thing that he went through and he doesn't know how to process emotions, so he just gets drunk all the time. That's probably not the best way to go about that either because you're just slamming fucking shit, we make jokes about it all the time about getting shit faced. Like, I'm going to die at the ripe old age of 53 like every man with 5 pounds of undigested raw beef and will die of a heart attack and swallowed emotions like a real man. Like we make jokes about that, but, that is a pretty big summary as to how a lot of people live their lives. Mm-hmm. And we look at it now and you're like, it's not really healthy, but that's just the way it was. And we've moved past that now as a society a little bit.
You know what I think about that? Now that we're also talking about that, depending on what time period in '07 I'm dropped off, if I'm dropped off at the beginning of the year to the end of the year, I'll have family that passes away in that time.
Yep. And you got to deal with that.
And I'm like, shit, dude, how do I? Because that's something I might talk to my younger self about. I'd be like, hey, something's coming. You've never experienced this before, but something's coming. I need you to be mentally prepared for it.
Yeah, but that's not going to tell you anything. I already know how you would look at it back then. The way you talk about it now, you're like, whatever, man, I'm ready. That don't mean shit to me. Fuck, my uncle died. I'm not ready for this. Well, I told you to be ready. Like, well, that doesn't solve anything. It doesn't tell me. Telling me to be ready doesn't make me ready.
Get ready.
You know what I mean?
Get ready for what? You only get 5 seconds to talk to yourself. Get ready. You're like, You're woken out of a deep sleep by an older you just shaking you in your bed.
You're your own paralysis demon shaking the fuck out of yourself.
You what's really gonna like make me kind of look kind of bad, but I think it's really funny is if it is me waking a younger version of myself up in '07. It is me shaking myself. It'd be me in a twin size bed that is the sheets and the blankets are WWF Jake the Snake Roberts bed sheets.
fucking nerd. You're like, cool sheets. Fucking get ready. You know, no, JD, come on. I cannot fucking picture. If I was in the same age range as you and I took what I knew now and went back to, let's say we go back to a certain age and not a certain year and had to prepare ourselves for something, that'd be a crazier story.
Like if you could go back and talk to 15-year-old you.
Yeah, that'd be wild. I would change some things for sure, but my main thing would be just to process what I went through, because like of how destructive I was to myself and other people after that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as you get older, you realize like, man, I was a dickhead. Like because I was going through shit, and while I was processing this, people were bothering me, so I lashed out extra hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, not that they didn't deserve it, but they had no idea. They didn't deserve it for the fact that they didn't know what was going on with you. Granted, it's not right to fuck with somebody, but you know, the fact you lashed out that hard was kind of undeserved on your end, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have done that. You should have been more like, look, man, I'm going through some shit. Leave me the fuck alone.
No, I mean, also going back in time to like even say 15, I was all like, there's points in time where I had a decent amount of money in my bank, where I was all like, hey, I know you said you're saving, you don't know what for what, or hey, you're going to be getting this inheritance, or you're going to be getting a settlement for this, and you're going to have a good chunk of change, and I know you're going to do this with it, but really think about it.
See, me, I've always been super conservative with all my stuff. Financially, been pretty tight with a lot of things. Only bought the same three things: good gold, good whiskey, and good guns. That's all I've ever spent my money on. That was really expensive. So that's pretty much it. And all those things have paid themselves off one way or another. Now I can go and pull out some old Colts that still have the property of U.S. government roll stamps on them, and there's some Colton collectors out there that will fucking flip shit. You know, they're like, oh, we have these A1. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into it, but I can pull some of these old guns from back in the day that I bought a long time ago and sell them for a pretty decent profit today. I've got gold that obviously is worth way more than what I paid for it, at the time. Same with silver and platinum and everything else. So, it's not like a type of brag. It's just, those are the type of decisions that I made back then.
Yeah.
Because of what I understood. So there are some things that you could do better, but there's some things that by poking around you could probably make worse. What could you have spun in a let's say a worse direction? You tell yourself you're eating because you're emotional, you're this, you're that. What if your old self doubles down? Because you know how you are, and you know how you were. Go fuck you. You're not gonna tell me what to do, and you double down. And then what? You get on your rascal scooters, get off, roll on top of yourself in the bed, and shake yourself awake before you fucking fade into oblivion. You piece of shit, like then you just fade off like Thanos snapped his fingers.
I feel so good.
Like you get what I'm saying. Though is everything again the butterfly effect. How do you go about saying this without creating too much chaos around you? Every breadcrumb you leave that is a direct message changes something else. What I was talking about, just giving myself, this is what you need to do when you need to do it. Here's why. Who's the president? Doesn't matter. Who does it? Doesn't matter. Who is responsible for it? Doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is you need to do these things because this will get us financially better off where we need to be. This will allow you to have a bigger umbrella. This will give you more wealth. Money is a tool. More tools in your pocket, more tools in your belt, more help you can provide. Now you can help everybody else around you because you have that structure now. You can reach out and help donate to these people. Hey, there's some foundations that aren't here yet, but they're about to be. Here's the names. Here are these people that are going to do these things. You need to give this amount of money to these people. Because when they start this house or this program or they're doing this for these children, they need that. Give them this amount. This is your cost of doing business like right now. And the younger me, I know myself that once I knew as a child, if I was like, yo, I'm you from the future, I was just gullible enough to be like, all right, I'll hear you out. And if I had undisputable proof, undeniable proof, where I told myself something that only I knew, I'd 100% believe it. I would 100% be like, this motherfucker is me. I'd have a million questions. Look, man, fuck your questions. I have a short amount of time. This is what you need to know. And I would be stupid enough to write it all down in a notebook and be like, yo, all right, I have all my dates, I have all my shit. And like earlier today, you saw some of the boxes I had. I've got notes. I still have fucking type in codes for the Nintendo 64 for fucking some of my video games, the type in sheets, like the programmer codes to test things on a game. Like I still have notes from back then. I would have kept them. I would have taken good care of all of that. So I would have stuck it somewhere and I would have had those notes and refer back to it every year. What's going to happen this year? What do I need to know this year? But, and I would have lived my life, live your life normally, man. These are just the things you need to pay attention to financially this time. Hey, it's 2012. What's going to happen? Yeah, don't worry about all this. There's going to be some really stupid shit that's going to happen. You're going to really wish you could have reached out and saved or helped some people. You're going to have to let it happen, man, because we cannot change the future. This is the hardest part is we cannot change the future. All we're doing is profiting off of what we know. And that's that. Then when we get to current timeline where I'm at now, I'm sitting on $2-3 million. Hey, man, I'm going to go and fund Caleb House. I'm going to go and build all of this because I have the money to do it. I'm going to go and put the money where it needs to be for these other secret squirrel people that I can't talk about, that these other guys are directly knowing and related to, and they fund these snatch and grabs and put people in prison and do all these other not so public things. Mm-hmm. I can fund that. I can pay for their equipment, pay for their time, and help provide for them and their families because they're doing God's work.
Yep.
So me, in my opinion, that's the way I see it. Do I benefit from it? Yeah, of course I do. So will everybody else. And I can, again, shed light on things that we can't fix in the moment, but we can in the future. And I'm not changing the past. I'm only making it public. How many times have people come out from back then, mention things about, oh, this is what's going on, and everyone laughed and ignored it until now. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, he was a prophet. He was trying to tell. He wasn't a prophet. He was in the middle of this shit, and he was just trying to let you guys know. The whole Michael Jackson thing, the whole fucking Jim Carrey thing. You can go on the list of like all these celebrities of like, hey, you know, there's some wild shit going down. Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, all these guys at one point or another, like there's some terrible shit that's happening behind the scenes that you guys should probably, I can't tell you everything, but just know that it's going on.
Yeah, I mean, Prince, Kobe Bryant, there's a couple people that came out and were like, hey, shit's weird. Let's talk about it. And
no, we won't give you a platform.
And stuff happens.
Mm-hmm. It's very strange. So,
okay, what if by you time traveling alerts some of these non-public organizations about your whereabouts in their timeline?
I'm finding Bob Lazar. Where he lives is not too far from where I'm at. I would drive and find Bob Lazar. He would think I'm a fucking nutcase. I don't know the guy personally, never met him. But I would 100% ask him, look, man, scientifically, how would this make sense? And he would, again, call me a nutcase. Probably, hey, man, you need to get the, you're another one of those UFO guys, get the, look, man, it's not nothing about aliens. You're a fucking scientist. What the fuck would make this happen? Because he seems to be like the only down-to-earth, honest guy that cares about the science and not the bullshit.
Yeah.
So there are other people that are physicists. I would never go to Neil deGrasse Tyson. That fuck no. I would still be talking.
Right. You're a Stephen Hawking guy.
No, fuck Hawking. I would be having a fuck him and his trip to the fucking island that he couldn't do anything on anyway.
Hey, at least it was ADA compliant.
Fuck that guy. Fuck him in his wheelchair ramp accessible fucking
jet flight.
Yes, fuck that guy. Neil deGrasse Tyson, we would still be in that conversation today that motherfucker talks forever. I don't have that
in
much time.
circles. Yeah.
I don't have that much time. I would have to find somebody else that's really fucking smart. And astrophysics probably has nothing to do with time travel. So I would have to find Michio Kaku. You're fucking weird in a lot of ways, but maybe you could help me out. I would go. There are scientists, prominent scientists today that I'm like, this is who I would talk to.
Ooh, you find a younger version of them while they're still in
Well,
schools.
by 2008, Michio Kaku was already working on string theory.
Yeah.
So before we got into this whole other thing, he was already working on this. So that would be the guy I would look for. Somehow, some way, I would have to find my way into talking to this person. I wouldn't have to worry about working because I'd have the money, which would be insane. But I would lose experience that I know, like today, because I wouldn't have those experiences. So I'd have to trade those experiences for doing something else. Because that would change the future me, right? So my story today would be different than it would have been in timeline A, the original timeline. When I change things, it would be timeline B, and again, timeline C, and so on. The question is, what happens in timeline A? Once it's gone, does everything just fall off? Does it change, or does it continue to exist? What reality am I creating for myself as I move forward? Is my question. Because
so are Mandela effects the equivalent of, let's say you went time traveled, and I still have glimpses of that original timeline, and I'm like, don't you remember the Fruit of the Looms logo had a cornucopia on it?
It did.
And I'll be like,
it did.
I'll be like,
it fucking did.
What happened? You're like, listen, the reason it doesn't is I time traveled, and we gotta change it.
Look, Harambe had a lot to do with. Harambe wasn't even a gorilla; it was a man in a gorilla outfit. The kid he was talking to was gonna find fucking precious metals.
And my god, it was an older version of the kid in a gorilla suit.
That would be insane. That's why they never talk about the gorilla show an autopsy.
That's the movie Harambe. Harambe back in time. Back in time.
But like I don't know, man. That all of this gets way into left field because it is not in any way realistic. It's all speculation. There's really not a solid definitive way to know. Because if you change the timeline, you're not in that timeline anymore. The old timeline and everyone and everything in it dies off, doesn't it? And if it doesn't, then where does it go and what happens to it? Does it still continue to exist, but you're in a new one? And if that's the case, does your consciousness go? And if it does, it leaves the other one? Does it leave you like as a brain dead husk in that reality? Like, how does that work? This ain't Rick and Morty, guys. We're not doing this like, oh, we'll just jump into this one when we die. We'll take over where they left off. Like, no. I don't know that, but I don't think it works that way.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking about it as a movie perspective is, I'm not this person, but what if a character did time travel and they were supposed to just tell their younger self some stuff, but they get jealous of like where their younger self is?
I'd be upset.
And they try to take the place of their younger self.
Well, it wouldn't be murder. You kill yourself. Partial suicide. But if you kill yourself back then, you're killing yourself in the future because you don't exist.
But that's the thing.
That'd be retarded. You don't kill yourself.
But that's like the paradox, and then you have to go back and do it again. And
are we doing Marty McFly shit where you sleep with your own mom at some point? Because I'm not doing that.
No. But I'm just saying, like, what if that was if you're like, why go back to the future? Yeah, I could have all this money, but why can't I just enjoy this for a bit? Maybe a day. That day turns into, it's that selfishness of human nature of just being like,
when I show up to tell myself,
like, what if it wasn't 2000? What if you went back and it was 7-year-old you?
Oh, like I said, now we're talking time frames for your life, not years.
Yeah.
If I went back to 7-year-old me, oh man,
and just to be able to live as a child.
No, I couldn't.
Where you didn't have no responsibility.
In 2007, man, my life was not a good place. I would not want to go back. Knowing what I know now, I could definitely process a lot better, but there was a lot going on at 8 years old that I don't want to go back and live again. I would not want to do that again.
Well, let's pick a childhood age that wasn't traumatic, but like, I don't know, just being able to just
4.
But just to have a childhood experience where, like, you didn't have to worry about bills and you didn't have to worry about You barely had to go to school, and you got naps. And
3 and
like,
4, 2, like yeah, like those are the ages. Yeah,
I don't know. I just like I know for sure there was a point when I turned 5 where there was a legit click of consciousness for me.
you come online.
Yeah, and I always tell people, and they're like, no. And I was like, I found other people online who had very similar experiences of just
Something happens and you're just like you're aware of what's going on.
yeah, it's
You're
like
completely
it's
aware.
almost getting plugged into a simulation,
Matrix.
the Matrix. And I mean, that's something that we're gonna have to talk about sometime in the future. And I guarantee you, there's gonna be a future episode. So please hang on. But I mean, there's definitely that part where I was like, what if that is, if we do figure out time travel, what if that is the key moment that I do go back, and that's my consciousness entering my body at 5?
I don't think so, but could be.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a point in time where I don't know what age. I would have to really think about it, but there has to be an age where I could at least be a kid for a second and almost be like, because I feel like there would be a weight lifted off that of just being like, dude, I don't have no responsibility.
My guy,
Dude, we could still go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video and go in like
or Video City
or Circuit City was still a thing.
Circuit City, 24-hour Burger King. I mean 24. Well, there was that too, but in some cities, 24-hour Walmarts, Kmart's are still open. Right? How wild that was. Blockbuster's still open. 99-cent nuggets, less than $1 gas, and a lot of people's and 7 years old, and a lot of people's timelines, gas is 98 cents a gallon, 95 cents when they're graduating or somewhere around there. Gas is less than $1 a gallon. There are no wars. We're not going to war with anybody. We're just hanging out. Bill Clinton's the president. Yeah, he's a lion.
President played saxophone.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, he's a lion.
Playing saxophone, getting blowjobs. Pretty cool.
First, the real first black president we had. Yeah, I know. I mean, he denied the shit out of it. So yeah, I got you. I'm just saying that like there are a lot of things that, granted, you know, not everybody's perfect and not everything's badass, but we were in a better, softer time then. Yeah. To me, that was peak. The peak of my timeline was around there, because from that point forward, it has been that was the top of the roller coaster of like the Texas Giant. You ever been on the Texas Giant in Six Flags in Dallas, Texas?
I have not.
It's essentially that. It's that slow climb of being a kid, going through, pulling yourself out of your trauma and your bullshit, and peaking at like, oh man, I'm just old enough to experience everything. It's the 90s, baby. Fucking the Bulls are on top. Jordan, Pippen, the dream team. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, the Dallas Cowboys, bro. We have the best team. We have Aikman. We have Sanders. It is the best time to be alive. We have the attitude revolution in wrestling. If you're into wrestling, fucking golf is doing whatever the fuck golf's doing because no one cared. MLB was still great. Like, we have all of these things in the 90s, which are awesome. And we beat the shit out of the Russians. Like, the communist shit has collapsed. Communism is dead. The Soviet Union is breaking apart, and we're helping Germany rebuild.
We think the worst thing that's going to happen is Y2K.
Biggest thing to worry about is computers reset themselves, which, to be fair, turned out to be partially true. That certain systems would reach 00 and there would be but they patched that shit in 98, 99. It was patched. Like at the beginning of the year, they're like, no, we should be fine. And they did. Some systems had a few issues and hiccups, like registers and cell phones and all that was still relatively kind of coming back online. A few issues and hiccups, but nothing world ending.
No.
Thankfully, right?
Yeah.
Because I was not as prepared then as I am now. And I know that the 2000, the Y2K scare had a big imprint in my life, which is where I was like, I'll never do this again. Watching how everybody was afraid. People were panic buying generators and water and food and everything was crazy.
Were going to fall from the sky. Yeah.
People were freaking out where I grew up in the desert where there's no water. Listen to people talk about, man, I will shoot you for this gallon of water. That is wild shit. And I was like, I'll never want to be in this situation. Never. Mm-hmm. And that helped shape my fucking outlook on a lot of things, which is also wild to recall now. I mean, I didn't think about it until just recently, like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things in those times that had a big influence on me. And I'm like, I'll never do it again. I've got food and water stored up for fucking months. weeks, years, days, whatever, I'm not gonna do it again. I'm not gonna be fucking scared and having all these wild ass fucking accusations and people threatening all this wild shit. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So at 7 years old, man, I mean, I was going through quite a bit of shit at that time. So I wouldn't want to go back to that exactly, but if I did go back to 7, knowing what I know now, but in my 7-year-old body, oh, you bet your ass there'd be a lot of changes. My whole life would be different. Holy shit, things would be
In my
different.
head, the second you enter your 7-year-old body, your voice drops like 5 octaves, and you're like, "Mom, milk."
No, bro. At 7, no, it was. I'm not gonna put that online.
No, but I mean, just in my head, it's a deeper version of you, but your head gets big, like the George Lopez every time he's a kid, with a big head on a little kid body.
Fuck George Lopez, dude.
But you know what I'm saying is,
I just don't want to laugh because fuck George Lopez.
this is a big.
It's like
little body.
It's like that Shia LaBeouf fucking video.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf.
Yes.
But,
the one you forced me by talking so much shit on that video. You forced me to fucking put clips in for that fucking review. Check out the True B Phil Films More movie review for what was it, Tax Collector?
Yeah, Tax Collector.
Yeah.
But anyways, I always want to do these what if series. This one is about time travel. What if you were dropped in 2007, knowing what you know today, with only what you have on yourself? What can you do in 2007 to convince somebody that you're a time traveler? What if you had to convince yourself? What would you do? Let us know down in the comments below. I think this was a great first question in this kind of what if series, because we've gotten to a lot about financials. We talked about emotional. We talked about how it would react to you talking to friends or family members. And then we also talked about the possibility of what if all this life, and the only reason time travel is even possible, is if life is a simulation. And that's going to be a conversation that we're going to be deep diving in a little bit later.
And if that's the case, this throws a lot of theories out the window if life is a simulation. Because if it is a simulation, then someone had to make the program. When you watch TV, what do they call it? Hey, watch the programming. We have a TV program for you. Television programming. Weird.
We'll talk about this more on the next episode of the Bunker Buddies. Make sure to check out the Triple B channel. That's Beer, Beans, and Bullets. You can find us on YouTube, find us on Patreon, find us on the socials, tag us, whatever. But we do got a lot of stuff going on over there on that channel, including some movie reviews, a few films more. So go check that out. Definitely stay tuned with the Bunker Buddies. We got some more stuff coming out. We got to re-record a couple things, but we'll be coming out with some more content pretty soon. And make sure to go follow the JD channel also on YouTube, because we got some stuff going on over there, and we'll have a lot more coming out soon. But remember to like, subscribe, share. Remember, trust no signal. Stay locked, stay loaded. Thank you all, and have a great night.
A lot of ways you can take that.